Welcome to the Best Known Church Show, where we show you how to 10x your reach with church marketing that will help you increase your impact, make more disciples, and become the cornerstone of your community again. This is for the leaders with an outrageous vision, because anything less would be an inaccurate reflection of our Creator. The ones who have unreasonable faith, because you know God works unreasonable miracles. And the ones who are relentless in the pursuit of your calling, because anything less would not make a good and faithful servant. If that's you, you're in the right place. Now, please welcome your host and guide on this journey to become the best known organization in your community, Justin Nava.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show. My name is Justin, and we are live every Wednesday, 12 o'clock Central. Love to have you join us and join the conversation. And if you follow me on social media, you may think, well, I saw that Justin is at that church conference. How is he back in his office doing the show? Well, that's the magic of technology. But nothing is going to stop me from doing these shows unless I am just in a tragic accident, God forbid. If I'm traveling, these shows will still get put out. Will still go live. You can tune in live with others just like you to see how to make more people aware of your church, more people aware of the good things that your church is doing, the services, the transformation, the life change, the hope, the healing. Because if they just knew about you, why wouldn't they connect with you? And that's what we're talking about, because today we're going to kind of hit on a subject that brought a lot of attention in one of the Facebook groups. And I'm not one to stir up unnecessary drama. I'm not going to share or show like tweets and call out people. I'm not about that. However, there are some really good conversations that happen in these groups and in these Twitter threads and conversations that really, I mean, if I can see someone ask a question and 600 people reply to it, that's going to be something that a lot of people are having to deal with. And so that's one of the things I want to talk about today. There was a question that put, how do you make live streaming less convenient so people want to go to church? And that really brought up a big question that a lot of churches are asking right now. A lot of pastors are asking. People are getting too comfortable watching the live stream, and they're neglecting the coming together, the gathering with other believers. How do we make a return to in-person church more approachable, more trustworthy, and get people connecting with each other? I talk with churches that want to link people together to make an impact, to link people with instruction and interaction and involvement. And churches that want to see community and fellowships happen. They don't want to just be a sermon engine. And that so often is the case of what we see when we see people tuning into the live stream more than coming to in-person service. Now, the live stream is not an evil entity. The live stream is not something that you need to cancel right away. We're going to talk about that today, because today's main topic is how to grow your church congregation when people would rather stay at home. Because I think it's important not to just grow our numbers. I mean, we actually want to grow the flock. We want to grow our congregation. We want to grow the body. I mean, the church body is unique because if I need a third arm, I can't just grow one. I'm stuck with these two arms. Look at this little gun here. You know what I'm saying? But the church body has the ability to add upon itself. Now, and obviously it's not us doing it. It's God calling it. The church needs to do something. God's going to call people in that can bring those gifts, those talents to grow the body in that way. However, we've got the pandemic we're coming out of. There you go. I'm demonetized on YouTube. We've got culture wars that are just getting people sidelined or taking sides that they don't fully understand and don't have the full truth. And so rather than go through the inconveniences of leaving the home, taking risks of being around others, or even not that big of a risk if you want to look at it that way, rather than that, they'd rather just stay at home and watch the sermon. And, how do you grow your church congregation when people would rather stay at home? I think you have to ask that question is, first of all, why would someone rather stay at home than come to our church? Because I think this raises a question that many pastors are not asking. We talk about all the time, several in-person conversation, text messages, DMs, and yes, community forum, Facebook group conversations are all around how do we get people to stop watching our live stream and come to church, or watch our live stream and then come to church, when really the question should be, someone wants to hear a sermon, someone wants to worship. Why are they watching our little rinky-dink live stream when there are hundreds of better ones out in the world? We live in a culture, in a century, in a time of technology where I can get the best preachers, maybe not the most biblically honest and approachable preachers, but the best speakers, the best preachers, the best teachers, the best orators, anytime I want. And yet at 10 a.m., they are tuning in to your church's live stream. Folks, Pastor, that is a huge celebration. My dad could easily turn on Joel Osteen on the TV. He could easily watch a number of other televangelists. Instead, he watches my church's live stream. Why? That is the question that we need to ask first. It's not why are people watching our live stream and not coming to church. It's why are they watching our live stream when there's better worship, there's better services. I could watch Andy Stanley at the same time that I could watch my church's service. Why are they listening to me rather than Andy Stanley? And let's take a moment and celebrate that fact. Let's celebrate the fact that even if I have seven people watching the live stream, that's 7 people that have the technological capability to go on Facebook or go on YouTube. They certainly can go find Andy Stanley, Francis Chan, David Platt, John Piper. They could play some old Billy Graham. But they choose to watch our service with the less than quality video, the sometimes difficult audio, the unrepresentable worship music, even though it sounds great in the sanctuary, sounds fantastic in person, does not translate well. They would rather watch that than watch the big boys. I think that's the first question we need to ask. Why are they watching that? And what you will find is, oftentimes the answer is God. God is calling them to something, and they recognize that this pastor, this church is involved in the community in some capacity. I am more comfortable watching them because it's someone I can approach eventually someday, maybe not on a Sunday, but in a group or in the grocery store. I could have a conversation with this person. Therefore, instead of investing an hour with a stranger I'll never have a chance to meet because he's constantly surrounded by a security guard of 9, instead, I'm going to watch this pastor that maybe I can actually meet someday and have a conversation, have a relationship, and be able to be discipled by, or other church leader be discipled by. I think that's the first thing we need to ask is, why are they watching us when they can watch anyone else? Now, once we've celebrated that fact, now we do have to say, well, as a church, we're called to be a body of believers and fellowship together, corporate worship together, serving one another, discipling one another, holding one another accountable. You can't do that anonymously behind a screen. Because I can see 9 people watching the Facebook live stream, but I'm only friends with 5 of them. So who are the other 4 people? I don't know. But there are 4 people that want to hear our pastor and watch our church rather than the big boys on the TV or other streams. So, what is it about our church that's getting them to tune in? But then also, what is it about watching the live stream versus coming in person? I think we make a lot of assumptions. Well, they're lazy. They don't want to come out. They don't trust. They don't feel comfortable because they want to wear a mask, but our congregation doesn't want to wear a mask. Or our congregation wants to wear a mask and they don't want to wear a mask. They've got kids that they don't want to wrangle up. We don't have the best kids program, so they'd rather watch that at home. Or maybe they don't have the capability to come to church. There's all kinds of reasons it could be. And instead of asking, why are people watching the live stream? I think we have to go more into the congregational side of it. And it's not a media question. It's a congregation question. It's not a media ministry question. It's a church health question. Because if these people are choosing to watch the live stream because it's quote unquote more convenient, the question is, in my mind, and I think that we need to ask is, what is it more convenient about? Because to me, and this is just me talking. I'm not saying this is everyone. I'm not saying this is the way it should be. I'm saying this is the way it is for me. Watching a church live stream, and forget the big boys again. I'm saying watching my church's live stream by myself, it's not fulfilling. Yes, I get some encouragement. I get some motivation. I get some steak and potatoes, meat and potatoes, maybe some milk some days, but that's fine. But there's something missing. I need to be around other believers. I feel that calling. I feel that desire. And yeah, the live stream can work if I'm traveling and it's like, this is the best I can do. For some reason, I can't get to a local church. I'd always rather go to the local church. But if for some reason I can't, if I'm at the airport, maybe waiting for my flight, I will live stream, and I am thankful for that live stream. However, if I'm at home, why would it be an issue of convenience to watch a live stream? It's not. It's more inconvenient for me to watch a live stream because then I just feel like I'm watching a sermon. There's no community. There's no fellowship. There's no interaction. There's no involvement. There's no active discipling happening in my life. I'm just consuming. And so the question is, if it is in fact more convenient, then you've got more of a church health issue because you think coming to church is all about the content and the consumption, not the fellowship, not the community. Bro, this is at the heart of the issue here is how do you grow a church congregation when they'd rather stay at home? Well, they rather stay at home because the reason they're going to church is able to be accomplished. The hurt that they have, the things that they want, the things that the feeding they want can be easily accomplished at home than in person. And the question is, why do you think someone's going to come to your church to hear the same sermon that you're preaching at home? If that's the reason they're coming to church, then why are you even having in-person church? You can just as easily communicate that vision over the airwaves, over the broadcast, over the internet. Now you don't have to have a building. So that $1 million annual budget that you have, and $350,000 of it's going towards the facilities. Hey, sell the buildings, sell the facilities, and now you're gonna have $350,000 that you can have to invest. You need a tenth of that to create a great online service. You preach the same sermons, you do the same worship, you just do it online. Oh, but we can't do that because So here's the question then. The people online, if they're watching solely because they can get the sermon in person or online, then the question is, why would they ever come to in person at all? And if there is a different reason other than the sermon, then we are not doing a good enough job. And I use the royal way just to be nice. Okay, you are not doing a good enough job communicating what it is about your church that's worth coming to and being involved in person. Now, how do you do that? How do you communicate? Okay, the church is not just the sermon. The church is not just the worship. The church is not even just watching some dude pray. Church is a body of believers, a fellowship, a process of discipling others. How do you communicate over the airwaves? Well, there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. There really is. But the number one thing that we have to do is, first of all, just evaluate ourselves and figure out, why people should come in the first place. Why are people coming in the first place? Because a lot of times I talk to pastors and I say, hey, why do people love your church? And they say, oh, well, XYZ. And then as I talk to their congregation, collecting testimonials, collecting ministry information, collecting stories, collecting content, photos, pictures. When you work with our agency, we work with you and your people to help build the marketing that we're going to do for you. So I get to talk to more than just the pastor. I get to talk to the entire church if I so choose, or if they so choose. And the community, the church, everyone has a different answer. The pastor says they come to our church because of XYZ, but then the people are saying, I go to the church because of ABC. The pastor says, we have biblical, honest teaching, and you can come as you are and be accepted as you are and be loved as you are. Whereas we talk to the people and they say, oh, I love the music. I love Pastor Dan. He's so friendly. I love the kids' activities. And so while we're saying, hey, look over here and this is the great thing, the reason is because you're not highlighting the actual reason that people are coming in the first place. So yeah, people would see it's more convenient to get XYZ at home, get the sermon, get the worship, get prayed for, maybe even get healed. You can do all that at home. What you can't do is have kid-appropriate, age-appropriate teaching and discipling to your kids while you're being fed, but also being discipled and living in community and fellowship and being loved on and laid on hands and anointed with oil. Can't do any of that at home. So we have to do a better job of communicating what it is about in-person service. Because if in-person service is just about the sermon, why are you even having in-person service? We can do that anywhere. So here's kind of some I'm not going to give you the exact steps to take yet, but I do want to give you a suggestion here. I want to leave you with 3 things that I want you to do as a pastor. If you're asking this question, how do I grow my church congregation when people would rather stay at home? How do we get people back into the church? Well, the reason that they came to church is because of the sermon. Then why would they come back to church if the focus is the sermon? So what you need to do, and there's lots of different ways to do this. When I say survey your people, I don't mean write down a paper form, put it out in the foyer and ask people to submit it and then email it to everyone. That's boring. Okay. But what you need to do is you need to actively survey your people. Why are you coming to in-person church? I say in-person, it's almost like the new way of saying big church. Why are you coming to big church? Why are you coming to in-person church? Hey, why are you coming to church in person at all? And then survey the people on the live stream. Hey, how come you're watching? Don't say judgmental like this. How come you're watching service online? How come you haven't come visit us in person? And oftentimes you'll notice that what you assume as a pastor is not reality. I mean, how many times have we in teaching positions and leadership positions thought we knew what was going on, but really it was something else? So let me talk about that survey. I am a much bigger fan in a lot of things that I do. I am a much bigger fan of what I call relational surveys, which means don't just put a piece of paper out and say, fill this out. There needs to be a dialogue. There needs to be conversation. And so what you need to do is kind of pick, you could do your whole congregation if you trust your leadership or deacons or elders to assist you with this. The problem with that is oftentimes people can't be objective. They'll ask leading questions to get the answers they want. It's just human nature. So what I would do is I would, kind of take smattering of different people, almost like if you were picking a pastor search committee and you say, I want a couple youth, I want a couple of women, I want a couple of men, I want a couple of seniors, I want a couple of young adults, I want a couple of seniors, I want a couple of married people, I want a couple of people from all the different, I want some whatever else that you do to try to get a diverse team of pastor search committee members. Kind of do the same thing and just make it intentional to go talk to these people. Hey, I notice you're in service almost every week. And first of all, I want to thank you for making that kind of commitment and making that kind of just taking those steps to commune with us and fellowship with us. And I really appreciate that. And, I wanted to ask, how come you come in person? Don't say, and I wanted to see what you thought about coming in person because is it this, is it that? No, don't put it in. Why do you come in person? It may be habitual. It may be, because it gives my kids, there are so many times my parents went to church just to take me to church, right? That's the unfortunate truth. And so, it may be that. And the reason why you need to find this out because then that helps you figure. And by the way, there could be so many different things, right? So many different things. Oh, I don't have a computer at home. Oh, I didn't know we had a live stream. Oh, I come because my friends come. I come because I'm in the choir. I come because we like to go out to lunch after. There's a whole bunch of different ways, and I hope it's not because we're already out for lunch. I don't think it will be. But you'll get all these things. Now, what you do with that is then you can start to use that in your communications. Because that's how you're going to grow your church congregation in person, is to not figure out how to get people to want to come for the reason you want to come. You want to lean into the reasons they're already coming and double down on that. So if you have a lot of congregants that are coming because you have a great kids ministry, then guess what? Promote the kids ministry. Don't say, come to church. We'd love to have you in church. We'll have breakfast. No. Come to church where we have exciting, fun, age-appropriate learning for your child so you can set them on the path that is going to get them success in life and help them live the satisfying life that only God can provide. We've got great facilities. We've got great teachers, all background checked. We provide snacks. We have security at the entrance. We have check-in. No one leaves with your child unless they are you. You could go through all this stuff. Sometimes when you over-promote security, people ask questions. So don't go that deep in security. But once you know that that's the reason why people are coming, you need to communicate that. So then when I'm watching the live stream, watching the sermon, say, hey, I know you guys love watching the live stream. I just wanted to remind you, we've got Vacation Bible School. A lot of folks love bringing their kids for Vacation Bible School. In fact, last year we had 7 kids accept Christ into their life, and they are doing fantastic. They are living with purpose. They are learning why God created them and what purpose they created from. And their families are a lot healthier now. And this is something that's so important to our church, and you just can't. We love that you're watching live, but we'd love to have your kids join us for this experience. And while your kids are there, you can join us in person. I'd love to shake your hand and I'd love to meet you. So now instead of the usual, hey, come in person, now it's, oh, there's something for my kids. And I know that that's what they're going to want because that's what's already working for other folks. So you take that, and that was just one example. Don't get so many pastors say, okay, well, now I'm just going to start promoting the kids ministry. That might not be your church. Figure out what it is. It might be the friends. Oh, I got so many friends I love. Tell you one thing I miss from my old church is we used to hold hands, and I know that's weird for a millennial to say, but at the end of the service, we would hold hands and we would sing one final anthem. Usually it was the part of the invitation song. Sometimes it was a celebration song. And we would sing and hold hands. And then after that, you're just like kind of hugging each other and shaking hands. And hey, I'm glad to see you. Glad you're here. I mean, there are folks that I never saw outside of Sunday, but I knew they would, for lack of better words, die for me. And I would jump in front of a bullet for them because we were just at that moment. We really were brothers and sisters in Christ, worshiping together, corporately raising our voices. And that was my favorite part of service. And you can't get that at home. So once you've got the survey from your existing congregation that's coming in person, when you want to grow your church congregation, when people would rather stay at home as well, honestly, you got to go to the people that are staying at home. And again, this is not an email. This is not a text. Hey, fill out this form. We'd love to know what you think about our live stream. Don't hide your intentions. Give them a call. And if you don't have their contact information, don't worry. I'm gonna share with you a secret here on how to get that. But you're gonna give them a call, give them a text, but be relatable and be relational. And say, I appreciate you watching the live stream. I'm thankful we live in this time to where if you can't come, you can still have the word. Let me ask you this. I've noticed you've only done the live stream and we haven't seen you in person, or we haven't seen you in person since pre-pandemic. Let me ask you, what am I not doing, or what are we not providing, or what are we doing so good in the live stream? There's lots of different ways you could phrase it. Okay. What is the one thing that keeps you watching the live stream, but doesn't quite bring you to church? And the answers might not be as shallow as you think they are. It could be, I've got 5 kids, and you might realize that everyone live streaming, or 80% of the people, have a bunch of kids, and it's just really tough. You may find out that they're scared because of the pandemic, and they've got immunocompromised people in their house, and they don't want to come. And this may open up new ministry opportunities for your church to say, well, I understand it, and if I was you, I wouldn't want to be around 100 people either. So let's do this. And then you can lay out kind of a plan. Do we want to bring a home group to them? Do we want to have a social distance service? Do we want to just keep them watching the live stream? There's a couple of different options there, but you may see some common patterns. Oh, I love the sermon. I don't like people. I'm an introvert, right? And then what you can do is you can kind of sort of use the live stream to speak to that specific group of people and minister to them in a way that maybe they couldn't do before. And you can put in certain elements into the live stream that's going to help teach those people, because as we reach more people and as we work to make you the best known organization in the city, a lot of people are going to come to the live stream first before they come to your church in person. And so if your live stream communicates the right message in the right way to these people in the way that they need it and understand it, then you can nurture them into that in-person visit rather than get them stuck in this live stream limbo that you can't get them out of. And then from our side, it looks like they'd rather stay at home, but really it's not a matter of convenience. It's a matter of, hey, this is just how they do church better. It's kind of weird. And I feel yucky saying that. And so there might be another opportunity for you to do like an online church or an online ministry or something like that. So there's a lot of different options. They're very unique that I hate blanket statements. There are very few blanket statements that you can make on a show to churches, right? It's not like roofing companies. Hey, every roofing company needs to market the same and find success. I mean, that's true. But churches are so unique with unique gifts and unique messages and unique leadership and unique organizations and unique structures and unique resources. And I think I said unique gifts, unique equipping. You can't promote and market every church the same. It's just tough. I understand. So a lot of times, and I hate this too with other Christian creators, like you just point out the problems, dude. I'm going to give you as many solutions as I can, but some of them you just have to do the work and then find the solution within the work. So you have to do the survey of who's coming in person and why, and then who's staying at home and why. And then from there, you can start to bridge the two. And this is where kind of the last piece of the puzzle comes in, which is examining the connection during the live stream and then following up after the live stream. Now, this is one that gets me real upset, Pastor. Listen up here. Churches are too nice when it comes to bothering people. We have no problem once we get their attention to preach an uncomfortable truth, but we don't want to bother people to get in front of them. Anything we do online, we need to be okay with interrupting people a little bit, and that includes during your live stream. And so someone watches the live stream, and I used to think this as well. When someone watches the live stream, oftentimes churches say, well, I don't want to bother them afterwards. It's kind of weird, right? I used to think it was really weird after someone would send me would join a Facebook group, I used to think it was really weird when I would join a Facebook group and then someone messaged me and I'm like, oh, that's kind of creepy, dude. I don't know you. You're not my friend. Like, I thought that was kind of weird. But then I saw the results that happen because you start that dialogue after someone makes such a small step to watch the live stream. I messaged some people that I noticed on our church's live stream. I message them after the fact if I see them twice, and I message them personally because my name isn't on the live stream. I'm not on camera. No one knows who I am. My position at the church is second in my Facebook profile. So it can be a little like strange. It's not like the pastor reaching out. It's me. Okay. But I reach out and I say, hey, I noticed you've been watching our Crosswaves live stream, and I wanted to say I see you and I appreciate you. And they usually respond, oh, thanks. I love Pastor Tim. And then I ask, hey, I love it. Let me ask you this. Have you thought about starting a home group in your house? Or how long do you go to a current church, right? It kind of, I do different messages kind of depending on how I feel in the conversation. Really should be systematized. I'm too ADD for that. And I get to build a relationship, and I get to talk to this woman who's married and their church doesn't meet in person and their live stream isn't up to snuff. So they found our live stream because of a friend recommended, and they like how it's tailored for those watching at home. So she doesn't have to listen to improperly recorded worship or wait for people to pass around the plate, because we don't have that, because we know there is no plate to pass around in your house. She appreciates that. It's very respectful of her time, and it's very respectful of the way in which she's interacting with the church. And she really appreciates that we're following up, because she feels so lonely because her church is not following up with her. Did you hear that? Did I catch you by surprise? Good. Her church is not following up with her. She has not been to her churches, and she has not been to her church, and she has not been watching the church's live stream, and no one's followed up to say, hey, Karen, are you okay? Instead, some stranger's church she's watching gets a message, hey, I appreciate you watching the live stream. Guess who she remembers more? Guess who thinks that cares about her more? Guess who's going to weigh their words more? Our church, because we're following up. So I kind of started with the follow-up. Let's just lean into it. So after someone watches the live stream, there should be some follow-up. If they comment on the live stream, comment back. If they watch the live stream, send them a message. Thanks for watching. It's a little tough to do if no one in the church knows them. You don't always get the information of who's watching. That's why during the live stream, you need to create some interaction. You need to have someone in the church with their phone. Get over it, Pastor. Someone in their church with their phone watching the live stream. I use this as my notes. I'll be watching the live stream like, oh, Pastor, that's a tweetable statement. That's something that I want to write down. Don't be mad when pagans are watching or are acting like pagans. Okay, don't be pagans be acting like pagans. Galatians 6:9. Oh, great verse. Proverbs 28:19. Oh, wow. Has anyone ever thought about wealth this way? You know, that's a good question to ask. I'm sitting here with my phone and I'm just writing comments. I might, look up, oh, what's the story behind it as well? Wow, fascinating story. Did you know? And I'll be typing that. And what that is it's starting the conversation almost like when you put a tip jar out in front of the coffee shop. And you never put an empty tip jar out. You put a couple dollars in it, right? You got to start it. You got to let people know that, hey, it's okay if I put $1 in here. I'm not the first one. It's not awkward. So you have someone making that connection during the live stream. Amen, Pastor. Who else loves this worship song? Hey, any great plans during lunch today? Glad you're here. Welcome. Go sign up for this announcement that they're talking about. Go sign up at this link. And then as you do that, and granted, it's going to take some time. Okay, because if you've developed a culture where no one talks in the foyer, it's going to be hard to get people to start talking in the foyer. And the live stream chat is essential. This almost could have been 2 shows at once, but I appreciate you bearing with me here because this is super important. And like I said, I'm going to give you kind of some 3 things to take away from this that are incredibly important. I know I've already given you like 20. I'm going to sum it down to 3 in just a few minutes. But you need to get people talking and interacting in the live stream, not just for interaction's sake, but so you can develop the relationship. Because as soon as someone hits comment, you know who it is. And I saw them last week. I saw them the week before. Now let me follow up with them and say, hey, I've noticed you've been here a few times. I super appreciate it. I see you. I appreciate you. We are here to serve you. How can we serve you? How can we pray for you? You can only do this when you get them interacting with the live stream. And then you can start at the dialogue. Hey, how come we haven't ever seen you before? Don't just jump into it that way, Pastor. But that's what I'm saying. You can start that relationship so you can find out, why don't they come in person? You might be surprised. I had a woman say, I'm in a wheelchair. There's no good place for me. Pews are awkward. I got to sit all the way in the back. So they sawed off a portion of the pew and said, this is for a handicapped space, handy accessible, whatever you're supposed to call it nowadays. If you're in a wheelchair, come sit in the spot. And what they found was there's like 5 people that would rather be in wheelchairs or more comfortable in wheelchairs or have knee problems. And now they're going to come in church more because there's a spot saved for them. All because we asked one person, how come we don't see you in church as much? Because it's not comfortable to go. Because I cannot come as I am because I got to sit in the back. Whew, man. So, you've got to connect with people during the live stream and then follow up with them. Okay, so let me summarize this before I let you go here. Okay, number 1, if you think people are not coming to church, if you are struggling to grow your congregation in person because people would rather stay at home, you've got to figure out what it is that's encouraging them to stay at home. Because more often than not, the answer is they're just coming for the sermon, and if they're just coming for the sermon, why? Why aren't they recognizing the importance of fellowship? Why aren't they recognizing the importance of communal worship or corporate worship? Why aren't they recognizing the importance of age-appropriate teaching for their children when the children are just playing on their iPad while they watch the sermon to feel good or to be fed? And then also figure out why people are coming in person. It is very, very loud. As I get older, I try not to speak with so many absolutes. It's always going to be different. I guarantee that it is not what you think. There is no one that's coming. No, it's just, I'm old enough to never speak with absolutes. You catch that? I'm old enough to never speak with absolutes. I'm going to put that on a shirt. However, it's most likely not going to be what you think. Oh, people stay home because they're lazy. Are you sure? You sure about that? Have you talked to them, or are you just making more assumptions? Survey your people that are coming in person and find out why they're coming in person. It's not because you're so great to look at, Pastor. And find out why people are watching on the live stream. It may not be just because they're lazy. And then once you have that information, use it for your advantage. Hey, a lot of folks watching online because it's convenient, and we also understand it's really tough to get all your kids here. So what we've done is we've actually opened up our kids' wing an hour earlier, and we are serving coffee and donuts. So when your kids get here, we'll feed them breakfast. Hey, if you want something healthier, we'll make some breakfast tacos or something like that. I know, right? Like what a Mexican Nava is because he thinks tacos are healthy. Oh, they're healthier than donuts. You know, I mean, that's a very consumerist answer, but maybe it's hey, we've updated our kids' curriculum. We've got this exciting new curriculum that has drama and games and activities and crafts. Things, I tell you what, I love it when my daughter comes home from church with crafts because it's stuff that we can't do at home. And it's so much she loves to craft. And some days she only goes to church because she knows she's going to get a snack and a craft. Okay, let's be honest. Whatever that reason is that people are coming in person, use that to cross-promote to the live stream audience so that they can see why people are taking that step to come in person. Because the in-person step is not just the sermon. You'll be able to hear the sermon better. That's not enough good enough reason. Right? Why do people choose to go to a baseball game rather than watch it at home? Guess what? Manfred blacking out MLB games is not making anyone go to the games. It's just making people angry. However, people will go to a Tuesday night game here at Minute Maid Park for $1 hot dogs. People will go on the weekend for Orbit's birthday, or kids run the bases on Sunday. Or the Altuve jersey, or the Jordan jersey, or the Yuli bobblehead, right? People will go for those things. And not only that, we're in Houston, the now third largest city in America. We will drive downtown in all that traffic to go sit in an uncomfortable chair to be around others to enjoy the game together. Because the baseball game is about more than just the game. And so if people would rather go enjoy community at a baseball game rather than at your church, the question is, what's lacking in your church community? And it's not just comfort, man. How many times do we go to a packed house and just sweat because the AC is not picking up and there's no food? We got to bring our own drinks. We got to bring our own sodas, or bring my uncle, my tio always brings his own beer, right? But we will do that for the community of watching the game together as a family. We won't do that as a church, which means there's something missing, and you will only figure it. So many churches and pastors spin their wheels and say, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, because you're not asking your people what will work. Stop making assumptions and stop guessing and start talking to your people. And if you won't talk to your people, someone else will, and someone else will get their attention. All right, here's the 3 things. Okay, love you, Pastor. Didn't mean to get on you like that, but I kind of did. 3 things you need to ask. Number 1, this is a tough question to ask, and this is a very scary question to ask. Does the live stream align with our mission? I'm going to ask that again. Does the live stream align with our mission? If our mission is to make disciples who make disciples, can you disciple through a live stream service when there's a camera planted on the background, no one's talking to the person, we don't have the staff to talk to a person, the live stream breaks half the time, the worship sounds terrible, and I can barely understand the sermon? Is that making disciples who make disciples? Well, we have to do it because everyone else is doing it. Do you? Everyone else is doing egg drops from a helicopter. But we don't do that. I'm not saying you need to quit your live stream. I'm saying, how can you better align your live stream with your mission? Because then people might actually start paying attention and say, well, this isn't just a sermon. I mean, these guys really want me to be a disciple and be discipled, which means I should do this because the sermon is not enough. Question number 2. You need to honestly ask yourself, is it a problem that people choose the live stream over in-person service? Is it a problem if people choose the live stream over our in-person service? If your mission, if your motto is linking people together to impact the kingdom, not to call anyone out, it's just on my mind, does the live stream accomplish that? Are you connecting people together through the live stream? You can. It's absolutely possible. I made a lot of relationships through Zoom breakout sessions where I went from a large group to a very small group very quickly. And if it is a problem that people are choosing live stream over our service, then you have to address what's the solution. And I think the answer to that is in the survey. The survey will tell you why people are coming in person. And then lastly, if we didn't have the live stream, would people come? It goes back to the blackout thing I was talking about earlier. Just because the MLB is blacked out on TV in Houston, just because the Astros are blacked out on TV when we're in Houston and I have no way to watch the game, does not mean, even if it was free, am I going to the baseball game? So shutting the live stream down is not going to get people to come. In fact, if the live stream was shut down, I would not think about the Astros. With the MLB blacked out on TV, I do not think about the Astros as much as I might think about the Cubs, who are always on WGN, because we're not in their market. Isn't that ridiculous? The only people that get to enjoy your home team are the people that don't live at home. Dumbest thing ever. So the question is, if we didn't have the live stream, would people come? And I have yet to have a pastor tell me, if we shut our live stream off, people would come to church. So the question is, I think, you say if we didn't have the live stream, people wouldn't come. So how would you use the live stream to get people to come? How would you use the live stream to get people to come in person? Again, I grew up in Houston and I went to a lot of ball games. We were very blessed. Now, granted, we always sat in the $5 seats. Back then they were $5. Now they're $20. But we would always go to the Houston games, probably 4 or 5 a season, which for us was a lot. And especially because we didn't live in, I didn't always go with the same people. My grandfather would take me to a game. My parents would take me to a game. The church youth group would go to a game. And, so I got to go to quite a few games. I was a big Astros fan. When I moved away for college, I kind of stopped watching baseball. It was also, the Astros went to the World Series and got swept by the White Sox. It was very embarrassing and disheartening. Also, the Killer Bees that I grew up watching, Bagwell, Biggio, Berkman. I also considered Billy Wagner as part of that. I loved Billy Wagner, Astros closer, fantastic. Billy the Kid. But when I moved away, I stopped paying attention. Then I started hearing around 2016, I heard that the Astros were going to have a World Series team, and I started paying attention. And then in 2017, scandal aside, the Astros went to the World Series and won. The reason why I got so excited is because other people were talking about it, and in the playoffs, you get to watch playoff games. Those are nationally televised. So, I started paying attention because I was able to watch the games that led to the World Series, that then led to me rediscovering my passion for baseball and the games and the camaraderie and the fun and entertainment. Even if your teams are a cheater, it's still fun. Okay. And so the games gotten to help me introduce me to the players and get to know my favorite players and get to know Tuesday night's Dollar Dog Night and bring the Honda Club, the Michelob Club, or not the Michelob, some other club. And then you've got the Crawford boxes. What are the Crawford boxes? Kids run the bases on. I get to see all these things that are happening that, hey, it might actually be worth going to a game someday. And then we started going to baseball games because we got to watch the games on TV, get to know the players, get to know what to expect, and then go and see it in person. Right? So all that to say, I used to go and then I stopped. And then I really wasn't interested in going again until I got to check it out on TV or even online to get to know what to expect and then eventually make a return. That's kind of, in my mind, that's kind of the same as what we had. People used to go to church, pandemic, lockdown. Now we're coming out of it. People find it more convenient to stay at home. Maybe there's not a reason to go. Because I will go to church hell or high water. Won't go to a baseball game hell or high water. So the question is, what can you do in your live stream? It's not about making it more inconvenient to live stream. It's about making it more convenient and more worthwhile to come in person. The last example I love to use is college. Would you rather go in person to your class and hear the lecture and be in the room with other students and have the opportunity to talk to the professor before and after, to commune and meet relationships with other students that you can study with and then help and take notes when you're not there? Or would you rather just watch the college class online? No one's paying attention. You can barely hear the professor. No one knows who you are. So if you miss a class, you don't know who to ask to get notes from. It's always better to do class in person. Online is a good stopgap, and it's a good thing to do if you're not able to go in person. But the reason why I would go to class in person, because I know the relationships I can make and the opportunities I have are totally different and more beneficial than if I just go online. So if your church makes it easy to just come, listen to the sermon, not interact, and go, then yeah, it's going to be more convenient to watch the sermon online. But if your church recognizes who I am, gives me opportunities to better educate, better inform, better raise my kids, support that I know if I get sick, there's a church family, there's a brother and a sister that will pick up my daughter and bring her home, stop by and get her McDonald's, take her to church, help take her to the hospital if she gets sick and I'm stuck out of town. If there's a family that I know that I can go to that almost went through divorce but made it out with God's help, and now I'm having marital issues that I can go to and I only know them because I went to in person. That's incredible. I don't know who would want to stay home than get to know people like that and have experiences like that. But instead, we've made it too easy to come, consume, and leave instead of come and be a body together and can't wait to come back. So that's the question for you is what can you do not to make online less convenient, but to make in person more convenient and compel people to come? And a lot of times it has to come down to our communication. It comes down to clearly communicating who we are and why it's important to get involved. Otherwise, people will just assume we're like every other church and the sermon's the only reason to go to church. And so why would I go at all? That's what we're here, because as you make yourself the best known church in your city, you're going to have people checking out the live stream. You need to give them more. You need to give them a next step. You need to give them a ladder to climb. Like, what's the next step? How do I get more of this? I say, I want more of that. What do I do? You've got to call them to action. Connect with them during the live stream. Follow up with them. Say you're invited. I'd love to take you out to coffee. So we can see the value in coming in person, but also how just staying online isn't worth it. Thank you guys for watching the Best Known Church Show. Wherever you're watching, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.
That's going to do it for today's episode of the Best Known Church Show with Justin Nava. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on the latest news, strategies, and resources that you need to reach 10x more people and become the best known in your community. To send us a message or leave a voicemail for Justin to be played on a future show, visit thebestknownchurchshow.com. And if you'd like to work with us so you can focus on your ministry, give us a call at 832-861-7654. Until next time, stay outrageous, unreasonable, and relentless.